Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Planet X News, April 27th, 2019. And folks, once again, we have some full disclosure. I know a lot of you have emailed me and inboxed me over the course of the last 24 hours concerning this NASA and FEMA hypothetical asteroid impact scenario that is set for April 29th through May 3rd in Washington, D.C. And I did an article about this whenever the information first came out, and it was a press release by NASA, and I got it the same day as the press release, read through all of the information, and it did, stir up quite a concern with a lot of people. Initially, they didn't put any type of disclosure on not disclosure, sorry about that, disclaimer. That's what I meant. They didn't put any type of disclaimer out on this press release. So it really gave the opportunity for a lot of other YouTube channels and websites to post information about an incoming asteroid blast. And again, folks, this is one of the biggest things that I hate about social media is people taking situations like this and taking advantage of it and putting out false information. And there's a few YouTube channels that I actually keep an eye on, and they did just that. They came out with these absolutely ridiculous videos about an asteroid coming towards Earth, and NASA and FEMA and the government knows about it, and they're not going to do anything about it. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous nonsense. However, I do find this type of scenario with this press release very odd. This is the first time that I've actually seen NASA and FEMA do anything like this. Now, I may be wrong, but I do keep up on what NASA's doing, and I do pay very close attention to what FEMA is doing. Now, we don't always know what they're planning and what they're talking about behind closed doors, but whenever they publicize something, I'm right on it. And I don't remember NASA or FEMA ever coming up with this type of hypothetical asteroid impact scenario. And this is an actual conference that they're having, and there still is a lot of information as of right now that they have not disclosed about this conference. And I'm going to show you how I know that. We're also going to take a look at the actual press releases on the websites and the information that was put out there for the public. And, folks, this really is a situation that, yes, we should always take heed of, because let's all face it, we know that any type of an asteroid blast in a populated area, such as a large city, here in the United States or Europe, South America, anywhere, it would be absolutely devastating. We're going to go back and we're going to take a look at the Chelyabinsk blast in Russia back in 2013. And I'm going to show you some information that I came up with about that blast that a lot of people really haven't talked about, and some people really don't even know about, but I'm going to disclose it here today. But let's just talk hypothetically. Let's say that the meteor that exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia in 2013 literally landed and impacted in downtown Manhattan, New York City. What do you think would have happened? Now, that blast in Russia injured 1,000 people or more and damaged, I believe, about 1,500 buildings, and that was not in some huge metropolitan area. Let's just talk hypothetically now. Again, let's just say that same size meteor, which was mainly made up of rock and deposits of iron. Let's say it hit the city of Los Angeles or San Francisco. Or let's say it hit off of the coast of Miami, Florida. And I mean right off the coast, maybe 10 miles off the coast. Let's say it hit 10 miles off the coast of New York City. What do you think would have happened? Well, there's that word, tsunami. And that would have been one hell of a tsunami. That would have flooded all of Manhattan, Long Island. That would have washed into the states of New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware. That would have had effects all the way through Maryland, Rhode Island, all of the coastal states. That would have probably also made it across the pond, the Atlantic, over to Europe. It might not have been that bad for them, but here in the United States, it would have been devastating. The same scenario would apply for the west coast of the United States. Let's say that blast hit several miles off the coast of San Diego or, San Francisco or Seattle, Washington, or off the coast of any country. Now, that would have produced a huge tsunami. And because it was a blast in the water, and you know what it looks like whenever you drop a pebble into a bucket of water, you see those continual ripple effects. Well, it wouldn't have been just one tsunami wave. It would have been wave after wave after wave after wave until it dissipated. But this is a little alarming to me that all of a sudden they're holding this type of conference and they're discussing this, and they also produced an actual model. And these are the models that we look at on the JPL, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, that shows the orbital path of meteors, near-Earth objects, and asteroids. So they actually produced one of these models to show us the near collision. And they actually did a piss-poor job of it because it doesn't even come close to being an impact. So they actually failed when they did this model. But again, I'm going to show you that they haven't disclosed a lot of the information pertaining to this conference just yet. I'm hoping as the days go by between April 29th and May 3rd, they release this information to the public. I don't know. We'll see. I will stay on top of it. But these situations that have arisen since 2016 based on these near-Earth objects, folks, they have been increasing. Just the other day, I was looking at one of the coronagraphs on Stereo Core 2, and I saw a sundiver comet. No big deal. I've seen them before, but as of lately, over the last couple of years, we see more and more and more of them. We've also seen, over the course of these last several years, a pretty big increase in near-Earth objects. Coming within, well, sometimes 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles from Earth, up to 50, 60, 70, 80, 100,000 miles from Earth. 100,000 miles or 125,000 miles away from Earth is considered a near-Earth object. At any point in time, the trajectory of these objects can be changed. And the majority of these objects, about 99% of them, come from the asteroid belt. But all of a sudden, why are these objects making changes in their orbits that have lasted for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. Now all of a sudden something is perturbing their orbit and sending them near Earth or close to Earth. Lord only knows what's impacting Mars, what's impacting Venus. I'm sure they have a close eye on it, but yeah, we need to worry about what's happening here on Earth. One of these impacts could be absolutely devastating. And, we would be looking at, well, let's just say an atomic bomb times 1,000. And it would create a very, very bad situation here on Earth. As they say, 65 million years ago, this is what took out the dinosaurs. That's all of the scientists' theory. That's what they hypothesize on. They may be right, they may be wrong. But we actually need to live for today and the very near future. So let's get into this information, because I did find it quite interesting. We're going to go ahead and jump over here to the Center for Near Earth Objects, and this is the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, NASA department over here. And now you see the big red banner that is up on your screen. Now, Planetary Defense Conference exercise. Ooh, man, I hate when they use those words exercise, especially when they have these FEMA exercises, because they're up to no good. And they probably know something that we don't. It states that this webpage does not describe a real potential asteroid impact. The information on this page is fictional and provided only to support an emergency response exercise conducted during the International Academy of Astronautics, 2019 Planetary Defense Conference in Washington, D.C., USA. April 29th through May 3rd, 2019. This is only an exercise. That is their big, bold disclaimer that they put on this page. Now, you see right up here where you have these links for day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's nothing there. You click on these links and nothing shows up as of yet. What I'm hoping, and that's what I was saying in the beginning, they haven't disclosed a lot of the information that's going to be conducted at this conference over the next couple of days. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to go back and click on those links and find out more information day by day. That's probably why those links are up there. Yeah. Something smells fishy here, folks. Just call it my intuition, call it what you want, but something don't smell right. But anyways, if you read on to this, and I did an article about this the other day, and it's up on the Planet X News website. The 2019 PDC Hypothetical Asteroid Scenario, Impact Scenario. It states that the hypothetical asteroid impact scenario will be presented at the 2019 blah 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 Planetary Defense Conference to be held College Park, Maryland, April 29th. Da 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 da. It says, although this scenario is realistic in many ways, it is completely fictional and does not describe any actual potential asteroid impact. The scenario begins as follows. Listen, folks, I'm going to give you the link to this scenario. Take your time and read through this, because if they spent enough time putting together this scenario as it is typed out right in front of you, they are in serious deep thought about this subject matter. They have actually created a real timeline, a real scenario based on an asteroid impact. And here it is, right here. I'm not going to read through it because it's quite long, but it goes step by step. It even says, hypothetically, an asteroid is discovered on March 26, 2019 at magnitude 21.1 and confirmed the following day. I mean, this is actually like a news report, but it goes on and on and on and on. Okay, and then they even show you how they mapped out its orbit. And as you can see in red, they typed in exercise, exercise. And you can see the Earth right here and the Earth's orbit. And then you could see the target, which would be the incoming asteroid. And then, then you see right here the possible impact, April 29th, 2027. Okay, so they're playing this out into the future. So they're saying that, okay, they've spotted an asteroid, they've detected its orbit, and on April 29th, 2027, this asteroid is going to intersect Earth's orbit right at the same time. Both are going to be at that point right there. So I found this quite odd that they use that date of April 29th, 2027. Folks, they could have put any date in there. But do you notice how they used the same date as the first day of their conference? April 29th? Yeah. So either they truly have detected a large asteroid that will impact the Earth or come super damn close, and this is their way of putting the information out there. I mean, don't you think that's kind of odd that they would actually use that date right there? Yeah. Maybe it's just me, but I think that's pretty odd. They've even gone as far as to put together more charts, position uncertainly of the asteroid 2019 PDC. They actually just they named it, and impact April 29th, 2027. It actually shows you the Earth, and it shows you the trajectory as it comes through. They've even gone as far as to produce some more graphics as to the way that it's coming in and the way that it crosses by. Yeah, this is a little unnerving. And again, they've put a lot of work into this. Either they put a lot of work into it, or this is actually a true near-Earth object set to hit the Earth in 2027. See, this is the mistake that some of the other YouTube channels that were out there fear-mongering, they didn't do their homework when they produced their cockamamie videos, because they didn't recognize the date of 2027. They were using the date of April 29th, 2019. So that just goes to show you how a lot of people don't do their homework. Right over here is another portion of the press release that they put out. And we're going to go ahead and blow this up. The only thing that's on this page is their orbital path. And whenever we study the orbital paths of near-Earth objects on the JPL website, once they detect one of these asteroids, they are able to put together this type of a model. And this model, if you stretch it out, it will give you the whole solar system. And as you see in the white line here, that is going to be the orbital path of that near-Earth object. And you could tilt this in all different ways to look at it, and you can zoom in. And there's a little video player up here that you could manipulate, and you can see the trajectory of this object, which is right up here to the left. And I've situated it here just to show you. You have the Earth back here in its orbit. So we will go ahead and play this, and it will be going day by day. As you can see, it's set right up here. So we'll play it, and you'll see as it passes by. And it's like a close call. It's really not even an impact. So you see in this, the Earth actually makes it ahead of the asteroid. So I'm going to stop it there, and we're going to go ahead and zoom in quite a bit, and we'll try to give ourselves another view of this. Let's get it a little further out this way. And this is the cross section right here. So we'll go ahead and play it one more time. And I'll stop it right there. So you can see in their scenario, the Earth actually beats the asteroid and gets out ahead of it. But anything can change at any time. In my research with these asteroids and meteors, now sometimes they have a tendency to slow down when they get closer to Earth. Sometimes they have the tendency to speed up. So speeding up would change this model. Speeding up of the asteroid would then put Earth in serious jeopardy of an impact. Anything could happen. An object like that can get close enough to the Earth where it gets into the Earth's upper atmosphere, and it can explode in the Earth's upper atmosphere, therefore causing that percussion to rain down on the Earth. And that is what happened in Russia in 2013 with the Chelyabinsk explosion. However, there is some credible evidence out there that shows that the Russians shot that asteroid, that meteor, they shot that meteor down 15 miles above the Earth's surface. On that day in 2013, they detected another asteroid that was coming close to Earth. But it was going to pass, I believe about 27,000 miles away from Earth, which is damn close. But they did not know and did not see the other meteor, because they say that it came from the direction of the sun. It came out of nowhere, and they weren't able to detect it. Not in time. Not in time for any kind of warning. However, again, I'm going to show you a couple of photographs, and not too many people have seen them, but there is credible evidence out there that the Russian military used a missile to impact that meteor in 2013 and explode it 15 miles above the surface, because they knew at the time, once they did see it coming in, it was too late. And I believe they have a missile defense system for situations just like this. So the same would apply. Say, for instance, a rival country of Russia decided to launch a missile at Russia. Their defense mechanisms would see that missile coming in, and their systems would go into full alert, and they would then start to track that missile, and their missiles would fire and blow it out of the sky. I think that's what they did just in time, because that meteor was pretty damn big. And if that meteor would have actually hit the ground, it would have caused more devastation than it did just exploding it 15 miles above the Earth's surface. So one way or another, folks, whether they blow up in the atmosphere, that's pretty bad. When they impact the Earth or the oceans, that's even worse, especially if it's on land or if it's off of a coastal region where you have a lot of cities. So this was pretty interesting. We'll go ahead and jump out of this real quick, and I'll leave you guys a link to this article, and you can check it out for yourself, and you can go over here. You could play around with the model, and like I said, you can tilt it all different ways to get different views of it, and you can check it out. But it was very interesting that all of a sudden this all comes out. While I'm on the subject of the meteor in Russia in 2013, a lot of people got video of that meteor. And a lot of people were able to take photographs of it. There were several photographs that were taken, and this is one of them. It's not super clear, but this shows an object right here. And we'll go ahead and zoom in. It's not the highest quality of photograph. I tried to, I ran it through my one program to get a better high definition because it was worse than what you're seeing here now. But if you look right here in the circled area, you're going to see an object heading towards the meteor. And I have another photograph broken down that will actually show you this. And this was supposedly the Russian missile that headed right towards that meteor and fragmented it, exploded it before it was able to hit the ground. And, you know, not too many people know about that, and not too many people have even heard about that. I don't know. It seemed to be hush-hush in the media. I found out about it, I think about 6 months. I think it was about 6 months after the actual incident that some of this footage was actually leaked out. And let's just jump over to the next photo, which is even better. Let's get this up on our screen here. Now we can see that object right there where my cursor is. And as the frames go by, you see that object getting closer, closer, impact. And then that's when this meteor was exploded, or did explode, approximately 15 miles from the surface. And it was one hell of an explosion. I'm sure all of you have seen the videos that have come out over time that pertain to this this meteor explosion. It was pretty wild. Thank God everybody in Russia has dash cams in their cars. Excuse me. Because we were able to catch a lot of good footage on that. But this just goes to show you that we do have some forms of defense. I know there's been a lot of technology over the years that has come out that is probably out there in space that we don't know about deflecting asteroids. There is even some technology out there where they were experimenting with using sunlight to deflect the orbital path of an asteroid just a little bit, just to skirt it past the Earth. sending nuclear missiles into space to explode these objects. It supposedly was done in 2016, but I don't know if that's a real good idea, because you could end up fragmenting this object and you can produce a rain of hell down upon the Earth, meaning smaller chunks of meteor that would be, quarter mile wide, half mile wide, and then all of a sudden they're hitting all over the entire Earth, causing destruction everywhere. So there's some technology out there that they've been playing around with for years now to deflect these objects without actually blowing them up or disturbing them in a violent way like that. There was even some talk about these solar sails, literally attaching one of these solar sails to this huge asteroid and slowly deflecting it out of the way. But here's the thing, folks. You have to have really early detection of an object like that. Early detection. Sometimes years in order for those technologies to actually work. In the situation that occurred in Russia in 2013, they didn't have time. So that just goes to show you, with even the most sophisticated technology in radar and tracking systems, every space agency on the globe missed the Chelyabinsk meteor. They missed it. It got into the Earth's atmosphere, and as you can see here, there is pretty good evidence that the Russians were successful in launching a missile and blowing that meteor up before it hit the ground, because it was pretty damn big and it was heavy. It was a heavy rock. I'm going to show you guys a quick video, and this video talks about this particular situation, and we're going to go ahead and jump over here real quick, and we're going to check it out. And this video was just put out November 5th, 2016 by GTDI magazine, and I'll leave a link. You guys can check it out also. But let's take a look at this. It's only 3 minutes, 36 seconds long, and it talks about what happened on that day, February 15th, 2013, about this meteor, and it gives some technical information about that rock that that exploded over Russia. So let's check this out.
When the sun rose over Russia's Ural Mountains on Friday, February 15th, many residents of nearby Chelyabinsk already knew that a space rock was coming. Later that day, an asteroid named 2012 DA-14 would pass by Earth only 17,200 miles above Indonesia.
I'm going to stop it right there, folks, because this is what I was mentioning just before. They had detected another rock. Okay, they detected that rock, which was going to pass by approximately 17,200 miles above the Earth. That was going to miss us. So they detected one rock, but they missed the bigger one. So that was the key here. They detected one, but they missed the main one. Let's get back to the video.
There was no danger of a collision, NASA assured the public. Maybe that's why, when the morning sky lit up with a second sun and a shockwave shattered windows in hundreds of buildings around Chelyabinsk, only a few people picking themselves off the ground figured it out right away. This was not a crashing plane or a rocket attack. It was a meteor strike, the most powerful since the Tunguska event of 1908, says Bill Cook of NASA's Meteoroid Environment Office. In a 1 in a million coincidence that still has NASA experts shaking their heads, a small asteroid completely unrelated to 2012 DA14 struck Earth only hours before the publicized event. These are rare events, and it is incredible to see them happening on the same day, says Paul Chodas of NASA's Near-Earth Object Program at JPL. Researchers have since pieced together what happened. The most telling information came from a network of infrasound sensors operated by the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty Organization. Their purpose is to monitor nuclear explosions. Infrasound is a type of very low-frequency sound wave that only elephants, homing pigeons, and a few other animals can hear. It turns out that meteors entering Earth's atmosphere cause ripples of infrasound to spread through the air of our planet. By analyzing infrasound records, it is possible to learn how long a meteor was in the air, which direction it traveled, and how much energy it unleashed. The Russian meteor's infrasound signal was detected by multiple stations, including one in Alaska more than 6,500 kilometers from Chelyabinsk. Western Ontario professor of physics Peter Brown analyzed the data. The asteroid was about 17 meters in diameter and weighed approximately 10,000 metric tons, he reports. It struck Earth's atmosphere at 40,000 miles per hour and broke apart about 12 to 15 miles above Earth's surface.
Now, I wanted to stop it real quick right there, folks. Did you hear him mention the weight? 10,000 metric tons. 10,000. Okay, and the entry speed, 40,000 miles per hour. The kinetic energy that this rock would have imposed if it did hit Earth would have been catastrophic. Even though that rock eventually had a trajectory to land out in a field area, and later on I think pieces of it were pulled out of a lake. Even though it would have gone towards an uninhabited area, the impact would have been enough to level buildings in that Chelyabinsk and surrounding area, which is heavily populated. So that would have been a catastrophe. That is probably why Russia's defense system picked it up and immediately fired that missile. Now, again, there hasn't been that much of concrete evidence showing that Russia actually did that. But there are some very credible photographs out there to show that something impacted that meteor at that particular time to cause it to explode 15 miles above the Earth's atmosphere. But let's go ahead and jump back to this video.
The energy of the resulting explosion exceeded 470 kilotons of TNT. For comparison, the first atomic bombs produced only 15 to 20 kilotons. Based on the trajectory of the fireball, analysts have also plotted its orbit. It originally came from the asteroid belt, about 2.5 times farther from the Sun than Earth, says Cook. Comparing the orbit of the Russian meteor to that of 2012 DA14, NASA orbit analysts have shown that there is no connection between the two. These are independent objects, Cook says. The fact that they reached Earth on the same day, one just a little closer than the other, appears to be a complete coincidence. Infrasound records confirm that the meteor entered the atmosphere at a shallow angle of about 20 degrees and lasted more than 30 seconds before it exploded. The loud report, which was heard and felt for hundreds of miles, marked the beginning of a scientific scavenger hunt. Thousands of fragments of the meteor are now scattered across the Ural countryside, and a small fraction have already been found. Preliminary reports, mainly communicated through the media, suggest that the asteroid was made mostly of stone with a bit of iron. In other words, a typical asteroid from beyond the orbit of Mars, says Cook. There are millions more just like it. And that is something to think about as the cleanup in Chelyabinsk continues.
Folks, I just want to go back here just a little bit. Let me just, where's that one part of the video? Tell me that wouldn't blow your freaking mind if you were driving down a highway and you saw a huge bright object just literally coming right for you. I mean, that would be probably one of the scariest things to ever see coming out of the sky. And like the narrator said in the video, there are millions and millions of these objects in our asteroid belt. The majority of the time, they're harmless. They're out there, they're past Mars, they're in the asteroid belt. But the big question is, now, since 2016, what is perturbing or disturbing their orbits? Yeah, you ever think about that? And that's where we dip into the Planet X research. Because in 2016, I noticed a pretty good uptick in near-Earth objects. And again, in 2017, 18, and already this year. Each time I find one of these near-Earth objects on the JPL website, I always list the information. If it's going to be coming within 0.9 lunar distances from the Earth. Lunar distance is from the Earth to the Moon, equivalent to about 238,000 miles. So 0.9 would be 9/10 of that distance, and it's pretty easy to calculate. But the JPL does do a pretty good job of listing all of these every single day. And but they first have to detect them. If they don't detect them, then we don't know about them. And that was the situation on February 15th of 2013. They detected one object, but they didn't detect the one that was about to do damage. And there would have been a tremendous amount of loss of life if that object would have hit the ground. That would have been equivalent, as the man said, the narrator, equivalent to an atomic bomb going off. So, leading back to this conference that is going to be starting on the 29th, I mean, this really has piqued my interest all of a sudden, especially when FEMA gets involved. We know how dirty they are at FEMA. I don't trust FEMA at all as a disaster relief organization. I don't trust them at all. But I will also throw you guys a link to this video if you want to go back and check it out. But you know, it was very, very interesting, and this whole situation that's brewing with this Planetary Defense Conference exercise. Whenever they use that word right there, exercise, man, my defense alert goes up big time. But I'll throw links in the live chat for you guys, and you can check it out. We're going to jump over here real quick to the Planet X News website. And an interesting study was just released, I think a few days ago. And this was two scientists that have been researching and studying the increasing ocean winds and wave heights. And you think to yourself, okay, well, that doesn't sound too interesting. But in fact, folks, everything that we've been talking about over the course of the last year, it does have a lot to do with this climate change that we're all going through. And this will lead to the catastrophic flooding and dangerous, very, very dangerous storm surge when we get into the hurricane seasons. Now, we've already seen some catastrophic situations with a few cyclones that have hit Mozambique, that have hit the coast of Africa just over the last couple of days. But this article starts off, extreme ocean winds and wave heights are increasing around the globe, with the largest rise occurring in the southern oceans. And this was conducted by the University of Melbourne. Researchers Ian Young and Augustinus Ribal from the university's Department of Infrastructure Engineering analyzed wind speed and wave height measurements taken from 31 different satellites between 1985 and 2018, consisting of approximately 4 billion observations. So it looks like these two guys did their homework. The measurements were compared with more than 80 ocean buoys deployed worldwide, making it the largest and most detailed database of its type ever compiled. And again, it looks like these two gentlemen actually did their homework. Further down in the article, it states that the researchers found that extreme winds in the Southern Ocean have increased by 1.5 meters per second, or 8%, over the past 30 years. Extreme waves have increased by 30 centimeters, or 5%, over the same period. As the world's oceans become stormier, Professor Young warns that this has a flow-on effect for rising sea levels and infrastructure. Although increases of 5 and 8% might not seem like much, if sustained into the future, such changes to our climate will have major impacts. Further down in this article, it talks about those impacts, and flooding events are caused by the storm surge. This is what I was just mentioning before I got into this article, folks. If we continue to see these wave heights reach higher peaks, excuse me, that means during hurricane seasons, cyclone and typhoon seasons in both hemispheres, that means that the tidal surge that comes in and hits land is going to be more devastating. So this was a very, very good piece of information to discover. And this information just came out, I believe, 48 hours ago. They published their findings. And once again, I will leave a link to this article. You can go back and read it at your leisure. Read it all. Folks, the information that I give to all of you, it's just not meant for me to come on here and, make an excuse to make a video on YouTube. This information is vital. These are the deep things that I research and I keep track of in my 12 to 14 hour days, because all of this has to do with our future survival. Things are not getting any better. They are actually getting worse as time goes on. This chart right here, this literally shows you in the red areas down here where the wave heights and the wind speeds are getting worse. But you can see right up here, it's close to the United States, and it's very close to the European countries. So it's very, very close to heavily populated areas. So I'm going to jump out of the actual article real quick, and I had taken some screenshots of that so I can show you guys a little closer. So if we zoom into this map a little bit closer, we can see those darker red areas right over here to the United States, right off of the eastern seaboard. What's right across from this patch right here? I know we'll kind of pixelate a little bit, but You see this patch right here? That's New York City, baby. New York City and all the way down to North and South Carolina. That's pretty damn critical. If you look over here on the West Coast, well, that spans from the state of Washington all the way down to the border of California and Mexico. And you see how far out into the Pacific it flows. Looking further down, a very big seismic area along Chile, you can see as they charted this, these wave heights are getting bigger and bigger. And again, you could move over here to Europe, Spain and France, and Ireland and England, the UK. You can see these wave heights are getting bigger. So it's just not really one isolated area. It's worldwide. Worldwide. If you look down here at the folks in New Zealand and Australia, it seems the whole eastern coast of Australia is at risk, as well as their southern coast, all the way through this area. Yeah. And the tiny island country of New Zealand. Hello to all of our Kiwi friends down there. So there is a lot to pay attention to, a lot to discuss, a lot to keep our eye on. There's definitely no doubt about that. And there was one other article I wanted to show you guys that I researched a couple of days ago, and I wanted to bring it up real quick because I found it very, 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 very alarming. Global warming will cost $50 trillion more than previously thought because of melting permafrost in the Arctic. And folks, you know how much I flap my gums about what is happening in the North Pole. And I don't know if people are just not interested in it or they just don't care about it. But what happens in our North Pole is very, very critical to our weather patterns in the Northern Hemisphere. Very critical. In the picture that you see right here, that permafrost has melted so rapidly that the land just literally fell off into the ocean. You see this gentleman here, he's standing on an area that used to proceed out this way. It all fell into the ocean. Yeah. This is happening in Alaska also. Parts of Canada also, and Greenland. So it goes on, and it's a very lengthy article. And again, if you guys are interested in reading about this and understanding what is happening, then you'll read this article and you'll take this information in. But once again, as you see here, this huge chunk just boop fell off. Why? Because it was always frozen before. Now it's all thawing, and that ground is weaker and somewhat saturated with the heavy amount of melted water, melted ice. It's literally changing the landscape. And there's more information that I compiled for this article and some maps showing you this displacement and the melting of this permafrost. So it goes on, and it's quite lengthy, and I pulled information from several different sources to compile into this article. And I'll be quite honest, folks, I produced this article for my own reference, for later on at some point in time, just to reference back to and say, yeah, on April 27th, 2019, I compiled this information showing people that the very rapid melting of this permafrost in the Arctic was occurring. So again, I'll post a link in the live chat. You guys can click on it and check it out. All of this information, however, is all on the Planet X News website, and you guys can go over here, bookmark our website. You have links to our private network, the Planet X News YouTube channel, Facebook, Dr. Albers, YouTube channel, our books, Planet X News online store. And all of this information is right here, readily available for each and every one of you. Here's something else real quick for newcomers that haven't been over to our website yet. If you come back to our home page, a list of current articles is here. And right down here, you have all of the research links that I use. They are all right here. This is my daily repertoire of what I examine. All of these links. And this is where I find all of my information. So at any given time, if you have this link bookmarked, you can simply say, oh, okay, I want to check out the SDO. Bingo, it's right there. And you could literally go back through here and check on each and every one of these links and start doing your own research and start fully understanding what is occurring. All of our videos are automatically uploaded onto the website in case you miss something or you're not getting notifications from YouTube, which we know that happens. And on the 27th, I posted this article about this NASA and FEMA plan, this conference, about their article. A lot of good articles. I did an article here a couple days ago. I thought it was pretty funny, and it was about the physicist and astronomer Neil deGrasse Tyson. He thinks he's a comedian, but the article is this is what physicist Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks about Doomsday Planet X. And this was a few years ago that this joker was at a conference, and people were asking him different questions. And again, folks, he thinks he's some kind of comedian, but I don't think he's funny at all. And he kind of makes a joke about a lot of this Planet X information. And as he calls it, Numbiru. He can't even pronounce the name. And I'm going to play this video that I put together just for all of you and to actually make fun of him a little bit. But this man is nothing more than a mouthpiece. That's all that he is. Nothing more than a mouthpiece. This video is about 2 minutes long. I'm going to go ahead and play it for all of you. I think it's kind of funny. And this is one of the main reasons why I think more than 20 years ago, the whole theory of Nibiru was put out there. The theory of Nibiru was probably put out there to discredit anybody who in the future actually came up with Planet X legitimate, real, credible observational evidence like I have over the years, and you've all seen it. So I sent an email to Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and I sent him a zip file of 50 of my most incredible captures of this object orbiting our sun. I've yet to hear back from him. I also included in that zip file this little video. And you'll see what I did at the very end. Well, let me go ahead and play this for you guys. I think you'll find it quite comical. Let's listen to this.
Okay. The Planet X today is a marvelous work of fiction. Oh, yes. Yes, there is no such thing as Planet Nimburu or whatever they say. It's just fiction. And they cite sources that cite NASA sources. They don't cite NASA. Check the websites, you'll see. And it's all related to the doomsday predictions of the year 2012. Yes, that's what you're getting at. That's behind your question, isn't it? Yes. 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 You want to know if the world is going to end on December 21st, 2012. Because the same website that tells you about Planet X, this secret planet that has a strongly elliptical orbit that will come into our zone in 2012 and knock Earth off its axis, combined with, on December 21st, 2012, that the center of the galaxy, the sun and the Earth, will come into perfect alignment, and the excess gravity will then also tip Earth off its axis, and it'll be end of the world as we know it. This is what these web pages will tell you. Turns out, if you go to December 21st and look at the star charts, it's true. The center of the galaxy, the sun and the Earth, will come into perfect alignment. It will. It's true. It's true. What the site does not tell you is that happens every year on December 21st. They left that out of the account.
Okay, folks, that's the little video that I produced with Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson's pathetic interview that he did some years back. And I added this little clip right here. Okay, Planet X News, you got me. And I hope to hell that he opened up my email, and I hope to hell that he reviewed the 50 files or the 50 photographs that I sent within that file. And it's been more than a week. Maybe he's too busy going through all of his other fan mail. But I sure as hell didn't send him a piece of fan mail, did I? So I thought that was kind of comical. And it's mouthpieces like that that put a shroud over real observational evidence. And again, folks, you heard him talking about the Nibiru theory, knocking the Earth off of its axis, this 3,600-year orbit. And again, folks, you know, I hate to use the term going down a rabbit hole because I don't do that. I investigate and I research matters. So I don't consider myself going down rabbit holes. I consider myself to be pretty hardcore and analytical when it comes to looking into something. And over the years, many, many years, I just found that the theory of Nibiru was just that. It was a very, very large disinformational theory that was probably put out there by the folks at NASA. And 20 years ago, people latched on to it, like Nancy Leader and Marshall Masters and many, many others. They made shitloads of money off of it, but we're still here. They haven't produced any proof whatsoever. But when you come to Planet X News and you see the evidence that I've compiled over the years and the evidence that I have shown all of you, there is no comparison. And it should be easy for you by now to literally stop believing in that mythological story of Nibiru and come on over to the other side. The Planet X News observational evidence, the real deal, the real truth. That's what you folks should be into, not something that's make-believe. And as we go, that theory of Nibiru knocking the Earth off of its axis is nothing more than sheer make-believe, plain and simple. But I thought that was pretty comical. Wanted to share that with you, and I'll leave the link to this article also in the description box and also in the live chat. Let's move over real quick and let's talk about some space weather. We do have some large coronal holes that are facing the sun. I'm going to go ahead and move this all the way out. I'm going to have to stop this. But we're looking at the SDO 211 angstrom view of the sun. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and stop this at this point. You can see the sun's atmosphere once again facing Earth, all of the black area. You can see it's starting to dissipate, break apart again. At that point in time, that's when this solar wind is released. These heavily charged particles, electrons, start spewing from these large coronal holes, and they start heading towards the Earth, because this is the view from Earth to the sun from the SDO spacecraft. I'm going to go ahead and let this play out just a little bit more, and I'm going to stop it right at the end. Let me see if I get it. Bingo, I got it. This is what we're currently looking at right now. Very, very large coronal hole openings spread across the whole front face of the sun as we see it from Earth. Earth would be located, I would say, just about where my cursor is right here, just about this area here. So as you can see, in the next 24 hours, this coronal hole opening, it's going to be straight on Earth facing. All of this solar wind is already impacting the Earth. And, you know, folks, I've had so many debates over the years with these ridiculous debunkers that say coronal holes have nothing to do with earthquake activity. Well, that is a damn lie. If any of you watch Ben Davis over at Suspicious Observer, he refers to this all the time. He even issues earthquake watches whenever we're undergoing these types of situations. And for the last 24 hours, we've already been under an earthquake watch. We're going to go ahead and take a look at that, because this is something that is going to become the norm for everybody on this planet in the years to come. I want you to take very close notice to the corona. You see that corona? It's almost not even there. So when Dr. Albers refers to the sun dying, the sun going dark, this is what she's referring to. The amount of light that the sun is potentially putting off. We don't really have a way to actually measure that, because we, as people, normal, everyday public people, don't have access to what these NASA, European Space Agency, government space agencies have. So we really don't know. All I know is the amount of ultraviolet radiation that's getting into our planet is increasing. I did a little experiment 2 weeks ago. I got my new NRA sticker and membership from the National Rifle Association. I normally don't put stickers on the bumper of my car, but I decided I wanted to do a little experiment. So my driveway faces exactly due west, and the sun makes its way around at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It is beaming directly onto my house and my driveway. and my back bumper faces the sun. I put that sticker on my bumper, and in less than a week, that sticker is white. Completely bleached out white. The only way that can occur, folks, is extreme ultraviolet rays, ultraviolet radiation. That's why I keep telling all of you folks, this upcoming summer, keep your kids out of the sun for long periods of time, no matter how hard it may be, especially very young children, toddlers. Definitely do not let them out in swimming pools and out running around for long periods of time. It will be detrimental as time goes on. And you can see as we go on in this 48-hour loop, you can see the atmosphere of the sun, Earth facing, it's literally disappearing, and those coronal hole openings are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, we've already been going through this for the last 48 hours. So whenever we jump out of there and we come to the earthquake map, what do we see? We see a rash of earthquakes already. Let's zoom in here to the United States. I think there was a little bit of a bigger earthquake here. They actually took it off the map already. Magnitude 2.73, really nothing to write home about in California. There was a few more. They're already off this map. You could see here, very odd, Clifton, Arizona, magnitude 3.6. Pecos, Texas, magnitude 2.7. State of Alaska, lit up, magnitude 3.3. These are all very, very small, but you can see the clusters of the earthquakes everywhere. This should be fairly new, 6 hours ago, magnitude 4.3. And this just all lit up. 4.4, Greece. This just went off here in China 38 minutes ago, magnitude 5.1. 5.4, Japan. Another one in Japan, 4.4. Indonesia, 4.9, right off the coast of New Zealand, magnitude 5. So you can see right around the ring of fire, bing, 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 they're already going off. So I would definitely say within the next several days, we're going to see more of an uptick in the seismic activity worldwide. Whenever we have the coronal hole openings, before it wouldn't affect the Earth that drastically. But now that we are quickly approaching the beginning phases of this solar minimum, we are going to be at a bigger risk because, once again, as I've explained, the Earth's magnetic field is going to weaken as we move into this solar minimum. Our magnetic field on Earth revolves around the sun's magnetic field. As the sun's magnetic field weakens, so does ours. That's critical because, folks, we're talking about a period of 11 plus years. And again, some scientists are saying that we could feel the effects for 5 more years after that. So approximately 15 to 16 total years. That's a long time. And we're only in the beginning stages of this, and with the global threat of climate change. So you can see things are mounting against humanity on this planet. And it's something that every living, breathing human being on this planet should be taking very seriously. If you don't, hey, like I said before, you'll be the first one shitting your pants, crying the blues because you don't know what's happening and you don't know how to protect yourself because you weren't prepared. Right here, we're looking at the current magnetopause model, and you could already see the heavy fluctuations of the solar wind impacting our what we call the bow shock. The bow shock is this imaginary white line that you see right here on the model. You can see the heavy fluctuations already as these pulses are coming in from the sun, and those are coming from the solar wind. And again, now that our magnetosphere or magnetopause is weakening, more of these heavily charged particles are getting through with ease, and they are impacting the daytime side of the Earth. But that does not leave the nighttime side of the Earth off the hook, as you can see. You can see this is wrapping around, and it's affecting the nighttime side of the Earth. So we're getting it from both sides now. And remember what I just said. We're only in the beginning phases of all of this. Just imagine what we're going to be looking at 1 year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. I mean, I wish I would have never broke my crystal ball, because I'd be able to tell all of you. But based on my knowledge and my research over the years, and based on my own intelligence and what I know, it's not looking good. There is no bed of roses on the other side of this fence. It's a bed of thorns. And preparation is something that all of you should be doing little by little as you can afford it. One of the biggest pieces of preparation, folks, is knowledge. I've said that before. Knowledge is power. You stick with Planet X News, you'll have that knowledge, and I will bring it to you as long as they allow me to stay on YouTube. But this is also one of the main reasons why I have started the private network, and we're doing very, very well over there. I've had a very large group of people that have been conversing with me on the private messaging over there, and they're enjoying the aspect of what they have access to now, and they get their notifications. When I create a post and I put the information up there, they'll get an email, and at their leisure, they can go and check it out. Now, I had one lady, I don't know if she was a troll baby or what, because we've had a few trolls that have paid for a 1-month membership just to spy on me and see what I've been doing. And, I should call this lady out by name, but I won't. And she canceled her subscription, which any of you can do. You can cancel it at any time. But she left a comment on her cancellation and said that she didn't like the idea that she was getting an email notification. What is the primary reason why I started the private network? Is because the private network does notify you. Hello. Don't you want to be notified? Okay. I created 7 posts in one day. You got 7 notifications in your email. Do you have to jump and check each and every one of them out the minute they hit your email? No, you don't. There are settings when you create your membership. There are settings for your notifications. Once again, hello. So she canceled her membership and left a very rude and idiotic statement. Folks, that's the main reason why I started the private network, is so I can guarantee that you get notified. Yeah. And there are things that I'm uploading there that I can't talk about here, because YouTube will ban the damn videos worldwide, just like they did the other day. They banned one of my videos worldwide 10 seconds after the live stream was over. And I'm sick of it. Totally sick of it. But anyways, getting back to this, I'll put a link in the description box or the live chat for our private network. Jump over there and join us. Trust me, you won't regret it. There's a lot of great information that I put up there every single day. I do share articles from our website. I do share other information that I don't put out into Facebook and YouTube. And I just can't. I'm tired of fighting with the boob tube. But we'll jump out of the magnetopause here. And we're going to pull up real quick the solar wind. The reason why I'm going to pull this up, there's not much fluctuation in the actual speed. But once again, what I want you to pay attention to is the area right in front of the Earth, right in front of the bow shock. And you could see the intense waves come in. You'll see them in the colors, kind of a reddish color as they move. And you will see the bow shock in red here. You will see it distort. And these distortions are becoming more prevalent, and they're becoming worse. I've seen worse during coronal mass ejections that were huge and very violent. But this is actually going to get worse as time goes on. These fluctuations in the magnetosphere are going to get worse, even with moderate solar wind speeds. Moderate. Now, just imagine if the Earth gets itself into a situation where we do have a coronal mass ejection that is pretty decent in size, something to write home about. Just imagine what that situation is going to be like when the Earth is deep into this solar minimum with the sun. So that means that if we are in the way of a coronal mass ejection, let's just say halfway through this solar minimum, just imagine what the impacts are going to be on the Earth. Catastrophic earthquakes. I mean, we could have very, very serious issues with the destruction of our satellites in space that we all rely on and the governments rely on. And let's not forget or leave out our electrical grid, our electrical infrastructure. Might I remind you how you freak out when you lose electricity in your homes for an hour? Just imagine not having electricity for 10 years or even a month. Yeah. These are the possibilities that we will be faced with. As time goes on, the exposure to those possibilities greatly increases as each and every month goes by through this solar minimum. So we're not talking about an event, folks, that is only going to be a week or a month long. We're talking about over a decade, possibly a decade and a half, 10, 15 to 16 years. Yeah, that's what I said. And these are probably the reasons why I lose a lot of sleep. Because I do worry about all of this. I want to show you something here. About 4:30 this morning, I was having a lengthy conversation with Mark from the Blue Kool-Aid channel. And if you guys are not subscribed to Mark's channel, get over there, subscribe, and support him. He's doing a fantastic job. And he's digging into some things from the past with these magnetosphere reversals that I actually recorded all of that going back in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or excuse me, 17 was the last time we had one. But he's going back and he's digging into this information, and he has found himself a data source to uncover all of the information that they scrubbed off of the models, deleted from public access. He's finally got his hands on it, and he's doing a great job. This is our radiation belt electron monitor. This monitors the wildly crazy electrons being spewed from the sun in the form of a solar wind as it impacts these detectors on these satellites. You've seen this before. I've shown this to you before. I'm going to go ahead and let this play out. What I want you to do is pay very close attention to this black line, this arch here, which signifies our magnetopause, which I was showing you on the other models. Watch it very closely as these electrons come in, and we have a very severe magnetic connection. Do you see that? It reversed. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to use the slider. You see that right there, folks? That completely reversed. You see that? That is not good in any way, shape, or the form. And that happened yesterday, the 26th. Yeah. So Mark had detected this, and we started talking about it this morning. And I pulled the model up while we were having our discussion. And I said, holy shit, look at that. And he said, that's what I've been trying to tell you. And I said, yeah, I got to see it for myself. And he had detected this yesterday. And he also detected a few other things. And he did a video on it. It's on his YouTube channel. Go over there, check it out. Hopefully, based on his work schedule, he's off this weekend. And we were talking about doing a live stream together tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So hopefully we can get our timing together, and we can put this live stream together tonight, 8 o'clock, right here on Planet X News. Hopefully all of you folks have time to check us out. If you don't worry about it. The live stream is always right here on Planet X News. You can come back, watch it at another time. It will also be uploaded on Mark's channel once we're finished. But folks, again, very, very strange things happening out there in the world. A lot of things to pay very, very close attention to. Because, as I've stated before, I'm not trying to be a Donnie Downer, but there are many, many things out there in space and dealing with our world that we have to pay very, very, very close attention to. That's a fact. I want to say something else real quick before I end this live stream. Over the course of the last couple of days, since I discussed the information about this implant thing, I've had a lot of people, I mean, wow, so many people sending me emails and inbox messages, and they've all been fantastic. There's a lot of people worried about me, and I appreciate that. Trust me, I really, really do, and I want to thank all of you for your support. I want to thank all of you for all of the nice emails. It was so nice to open up emails and messages and not get a death threat. I mean, really, for once in years, I can go through hundreds of emails and not get a death threat and get kind words. And that was great. And I really, really appreciate it. But, folks, as time goes on, I'm going to continue to research what has happened to me. It was kind of odd this morning. Soon as I woke up, came over to my computer, booted everything up here in my office, sitting here sipping a cup of coffee, and out of nowhere, I get that real high-pitched tone in my right ear, and then, it reduced to that low hum. And now when that happens, man, it disturbs me. Makes me think and wonder if somebody's tuning into me. Really. A lot of you have sent me information and some contacts to research, and I'm going to be doing that in the very near future. I'm actually going to be incorporating a lot of that into what I do on a day-to-day basis. Like, I really need something else to do. But since it concerns my own personal being, my own personal body, I'm going to continue to look into these things. And I'm also going to be sharing this information with all of you. Now, I've had several people in different parts of the world just in the last 24 hours email me, seriously email me, not jokes, people, about situations that have happened to them. And some things that they have found on their body. Very, very similar to what was extracted out of my damn arm. And they were very, very reluctant to say anything to anybody. Like I said, it kind of goes back to the day where if you had a Bigfoot sighting in the Pacific Northwest, you didn't say anything about it because you were afraid that the townspeople would ridicule you, make fun of you. You didn't say anything if you saw what you thought might be a UFO because you were afraid of people ridiculing you. I was very apprehensive about telling all of you about this experience. I do have to admit this. It did help quite a bit. And I have to say that I was quite overwhelmed at the amount of support that literally poured in. People actually telling me from their heart that they were concerned with, for me. They were worried about me. And I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, folks. I really, really do. Don't make me get all mushy and soft here on this live stream. But it did. It did touch me quite a bit. And there were a few emails and a few messages that, forced that little lump in my throat. Now listen, I'm not a softie. Don't get me wrong. But there were some of you out there that sent me some very compassionate emails. And I really, really do appreciate it. I appreciate you taking the time out of your life to be concerned with mine. And one very, very nice lady from the UK put it this way, because I emailed her back stating that, I appreciate her taking the time out of her life to be concerned with mine. And when she returned her email, she said, well, Scott, think about it. You do the same thing for all of us. You take time out of your life to be concerned with all of us. So why shouldn't we do it for you? And that's when I got the lump in my throat. I'm like, okay, this lady's going to make me tear up here. It almost happened. She almost had me. It was close. But I really appreciate it, folks. And I'm going to get through this. This is very weird, I've also started to have these dreams again that are just so clear. They are situations. That's what I call them now. I call them a situation dream, because I'm being placed in this situation that, I don't know, just kind of doesn't make any sense. But everything within the dream is so crystal clear. There's usually nobody that I know in the dream. Just has me in some very strange situations. I don't know if I'm being shown things from another dimension, from another time, from another life. I don't know. They are very confusing. They don't make any sense the majority of the time, but they are crystal clear. And then I started having thoughts and dreams. Oh, wow, this is really going to freak you people out. Here, I'm going to back off of this, and I'm going to go back to the Planet X News website, because I wanted to tell you guys about this. I almost forgot. I don't know where this came from. Yeah, but over the last couple of days, I've been having these thoughts that just come out of nowhere, and they just pop into my head about this ancient pharaoh in Egypt, Akhenaten, who was the father of King Tut. Now, I'm not too sure if any of you know who the pharaoh Akhenaten was, but he was a very, very controversial pharaoh in his time, 13 something BC. And he was the pharaoh that rid the Egyptian society of worshiping a lot of different gods, and mandated that they all worship one God, the sun god. And I don't know why. I've never done research into Akhenaten. I haven't watched any programs recently about him. I haven't watched any, ancient alien programs pertaining to ancient Egypt and Akhenaten. Almost couldn't pronounce his damn name. But that face, along with that name, Akhenaten, it's just been popping into my head. and I don't know why, about 10 times already. And I just said, okay, well, there's got to be something of significance here that's pointing me in this damn direction. So, you know how analytical I am. I started peeping into this and watched a few old documentaries on ancient Egypt and the history of Akhenaten. And then I started finding out information about him possibly being an alien hybrid of his time during his reign in Egypt. And here's a photograph of a statue of Akhenaten. And yeah, he looks really weird looking, doesn't he? Long, very long face, long chin. He has very odd-shaped eyes. He was very, very tall. He did not look like the other Egyptians. And where he came from, his origins are kind of like unknown. And after he died, the Egyptians literally tried to erase him from their history, defacing monuments, everything. And as I got further and further into his history, he was one of the only pharaohs that when he was being sculptured, he told the artisans to create the sculptures exactly to what he looks like. So many, many pharaohs throughout history have wanted to look muscular and wanted to look like warriors, and their body images were pretty much different from what they actually looked like. But Akhenaten was different. He wanted pure, lifelike statues and monuments to be precise how he looked. And he had that elongated head, that elongated face and that nose. And he didn't look like the other Egyptians. He didn't. He looked really, really weird. I'm going to pan down here. I put all of this information together, and I did this morning, and I compiled a lot of information on Akhenaten, and his wife was Nefertiti. She basically disappeared off the map whenever he died. But this is a side view of another statue that was found of Akhenaten. And you can see the elongated skull was superimposed over his statue. And here is the photograph of Akhenaten. And he sure as hell doesn't look like any of the other Egyptians or pharaohs. Here is Nefertiti, his wife. Very little is known about Nefertiti. And again, she disappeared when Akhenaten died, mysteriously. And this was a bust that was carved in her natural appearance. Look at her freaking head. Now, some Egyptian scholars say that, this was maybe part of that head binding thing where they try to elongate their skull. But there's really no evidence of that being done in these Egyptian times. So why would she do it? Why would Akhenaten do it? And they were very, 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 very odd shaped. Here is another statue of Akhenaten. He had almost a feminine type body. He had a little bit of a belly that hung over. He had very wide, curvy hips, very long arms, very long, skinny arms, and very long, skinny legs to go along with that very, very odd face. And I don't know why. I don't know why this ancient pharaoh has been popping up into my damn head, but it has. And I started digging into Akhenaten because I wanted to know, well, why all of a sudden is this pharaoh in my mind for days and days and days. Here is a video in this article. You guys can go back and watch it. It's pretty cool. It's a little too lengthy for me to play for all of you now. But it goes into the ancient alien background of Akhenaten. And the Egyptians, the Egyptians in this era, very, very mysterious. And we all know about the mysteries of the pyramids and the pyramid structures found throughout the entire world, just not related to the Egyptians. They're everywhere. South America, the Inca and the Mayan. But I don't understand why this pharaoh all of a sudden has been popping into my mind. It's almost like somebody is pushing it into my mind. That's what it feels like. It feels like somebody is literally pushing that thought. I don't know. Telling me to read about it, I guess. I don't know. It's a little odd. And as I was researching Akhenaten today, I come across an article that I started to research. And this is on the Planet X News website. And I was researching this from many different sources today, compiled the information to put it into my own article. And an Oxford professor claims aliens are interbreeding with humans to create a new hybrid species. Folks, it's not too often that we see professors of some stature come out and talk about these types of things. And he went over the top on this, and he put his name and his career on the line. And he's from Korea. Dr. Yo Hae Chi, instructor in Korea at Oxford's Oriental Institute, said that human alien hybrids may already be walking amongst us. And I truly believe that, I truly believe that there is a huge, high possibility that this has already occurred. This has probably occurred a long, 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 long time ago. And now that I started, reading about Akhenaten and his appearance, and then it was kind of odd that I'm reading about Akhenaten, and an hour later, I open up my browser again. I go to look at some news, and I see this article about Dr. Chi, this Oxford professor. So, very, very strange times that we are living in. And once again, I'm happy to share all of this with you. And I could see by the comments and the emails and the inbox messages, I can see that all of you have a very, very high interest in what has happened to me and what is actually possibly going on. I don't even want to use the word possibly. What is probably going on for tens of thousands of years. But I'm gonna add this to some of what I'm investigating because I do find it very, very, very interesting. And when I find things that I find very interesting, I will share all of them with you as my own experiences. But again, I don't know why. That's still ripping through my brain right now on why all of a sudden this Pharaoh Akhenaten has been bouncing into my mind when I knew very, very little about him. Very odd. Very, very odd. But folks, I just wanted to leave you with that last tidbit of information. I thought it was pretty damn interesting. And again, listen, I want to thank all of you for, supporting me. It was very, very helpful. I'm doing okay. I'm doing fine. I'm still, I'm still here. Mentally stable. Some people may not think so, but believe me, I'm more sane than a lot of people. But once again, folks, thank you very much for taking an interest in my well-being. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned to Planet X News. Also, subscribe to Mark's Blue Kool-Aid channel. And when you guys get a chance and you feel up to it, start joining our private network. The link is in the description box under all of our videos. And trust me, you won't be disappointed. You won't. If you have any questions, you can inbox me, email me. If you have joined our private network, you can message me directly. I do have a few people I'm constantly keeping in touch with. We're actually doing a little bit of work together, and you can actually get some information to me by including links in your messages that you say, hey, Scott, you know what? You may want to take a look at this. That's already occurred several times. And a few of you have already pointed me to some pretty good information. So my hat's off to all of you. Once again, folks, listen, thank you very, very much for being concerned about me. Greatly appreciated. And hopefully me and Mark can get together tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time and do a live stream and put out a bunch of information for all of you. So stay tuned to Planet X News. And once again, folks, be very, very careful out there with our weather and keep an eye in the sky. Be safe out there. Thank you very much. Scott from Planet X News, over and out.